Hello there, and welcome back to Chiquita Nicole Speaks. My name is Chiquita Nicole Edwards, and this is a podcast where I uplift and empower women to be the best versions of themselves by providing tips and tricks for them to use in their day-to-day lives. Today, we are going to discuss a topic called Don't Touch Me. Let me say that one more time. Don't touch me. Right. And what that means for a woman. I have a returning guest with me today who is currently struggling with inappropriate advances from the opposite sex in the workplace and is trying to understand the appropriate way to interact when confronted with these uncomfortable situations. Woo-hoo! Ashley Mitchell is a native of New Jersey, and she moved to Florida in 2005. She is of Jamaican and Indian descent and decided that she would provide a female perspective on sexual harassment. Let's all formally meet Miss Ashley. Hey girl, how you doing?
Hello, thank you for the introduction.
Girl, you are welcome. I am so sorry that you're dealing with this, but I'm sure you are not the only one, because I'll tell you now, I've been through that foolery before. But let's just hear your side of the story. So what is going on?
You know, I'm having a hard time understanding, why this is an issue, why having an issue understanding why this is even a topic that, what's happening to me is in a professional environment. This isn't from, friends, strangers. This is, partners, this is professionals that I'm coming across, and I'm just having a hard time understanding what leads a man to think that it's okay to touch a woman inappropriately, so casually,
right,
and show no remorse, no understanding of what that individual has actually done wrong. I just don't understand why it's taken so lightly.
I don't understand it either, and I'm thankful that you brought this topic to the table, because it is something that needs to be addressed. We aren't men, clearly, so we're not going to completely understand the mindset of a man. But at the end of the day, it's like, I look at it this way. This is my body, so I have permission to touch it, because guess what? It's mine. If anybody else wants to touch it, they have to have permission. And if they don't, they should not be touching it. That's just like your food. Okay? If I'm eating my food, I don't expect you to just stick your hand in my plate without asking, can you have some? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, doesn't that clearly make sense?
One would think, but for whatever reason, this was, and to give a little background of the most recent situation I've struggled through, was having, in my line of work, I am, encouraged to take potential partners out for lunch, dinners, golf, etc. I'm encouraged to do that, but in this situation, this was just a casual, it's called a late lunch, and this is the second time I spent time with this individual. An attorney, by the way, who should know better, but having lunch with this fella, and just after the second time spending time together, just the topic was just like constantly, a married man, by the way, was constantly just making advances, verbal advances, just for, I want to say we were there for about an hour. And just constantly, well, why don't you just try? And that point to the wedding ring on his hand. Well, me and my wife have an open relationship.
What?
Yeah.
What? That is horrible. I wonder if she knows that they have an open relationship.
I asked that. Does she know? And I say, what was the context of this conversation? Is this an argument where, I don't care what you do? Or is there truly an understanding? Because I'm just curious how you're able to just throw that term around.
Right.
And apparently there's an understanding. There was infidelity in the past on her behalf. Anyhow, that's not important because.
Right.
But so there was about an hour or so of just constant advances. No, why don't we just try and give it a shot? What's it gonna take? All that for about an hour. Again, this is a business meeting where these things shouldn't be discussed, and I'm trying not to be rude. And this is again when I say, having a hard time knowing how to react in these situations. Don't want to be rude, don't want to be nasty, just want to get through the meal. There was never a point during the meal when I gave any kind of go ahead to say, yes, okay, I will take that into consideration. Like, you're a married man. That is not what I'm looking for. It's just not going to happen, was a message. Right. So there is no, it couldn't have been misunderstood that, I was interested, because I made it clear that I was not.
But my thing is, why do you feel like if you would have addressed it a certain way that you would have come off rude? Because personally, I'm going to come off whatever way I need to come off for you to get the point across. I care not about your little feelings, because clearly you're not considering mine.
Right.
If you're doing these inappropriate things, and I'm telling you in so many different ways that I'm not interested. So if the other ways are not working, let me try a more direct way.
And I don't care about your feelings. Yeah, and that is, I'm sure, where why I find myself in these situations is because now a lot of women have a hard time kind of speaking up and being strong and saying, hey, that's not okay, and instead kind of just laugh it off, or no, and laugh it off, but at the same time saying no.
Well, the thing is I wouldn't say that it's your fault. I wouldn't go blaming yourself for that, because it's not your fault. It's their fault for even advancing, and you're uncomfortable. And the thing of it is what I've learned is that people express themselves in so many different ways. If they're uncomfortable, not everyone who's uncomfortable will cry or will scream or will yell. Some people will laugh. Some people will try to lighten the situation in whatever way possible.
Me. You nailed it. Me.
Right. So, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they're uncomfortable. So if a person, for me, I pay attention to body language, and I know a lot of men don't do that. They just don't.
Yeah.
And
in looking back, as you're mentioning that, just not listening to body language or them on the opposite end, I think back to the moment where I felt really uncomfortable, where he was talking about what I was wearing, and I found myself taking a bar napkin, and I stopped and I realized I had twisted this thing. It just fidgeting and twisted it into just a little spiral. I'm like, how long had I been sitting here twisting it? Just uncomfortable, just fidgeting with something.
Right.
Not something that, this person picks up on.
Exactly. It's well, sometimes they pick up on it and they just don't care. And other times they might be oblivious to it. But the thing of it is one, I'm glad that you got out of that situation. Yeah. And it sucks that, you had to deal with it. For me, I was in a situation like that years ago when I was in my early 20s. I worked for this company, and the guy that was the manager, he was hella mannish. You hear me? And when I tell you, married with several daughters, did not care about that. And I don't know who told him he was the looker of the town, but somebody must lie to him, because he was not the looker. But he was very inappropriate. And at that time, being in my early 20s, I was 21 years old. I didn't understand what workplace harassment was. I didn't understand about sexual harassment. I didn't understand what none of that was, because had I known then what I know now, none of that ever would have went down. No. Because what it was my son, I was a new employee, and my son was a baby. And at the time, he was very sickly. He was in and out of the hospital very often. And he had just come home. He was born early, so he was in and out of the hospital, and he had just come home, and then he had a bad episode with his shunt and had to go back and have surgery done. And so I asked, I was like, I'm going to need to take my son to the hospital or whatever. He was like, oh yeah, take all the time you need. And I said, well, it's just a few days or whatever. And, I called and gave updates and stuff like that. And so when I came back to work, in his mind, I should have been grateful, because most people who get a job that's new and they have to leave, like be absent for so many days, will lose their job. Mm-hmm. He felt like he was doing me a favor,
like you owed
by
him,
allowing me to stay, and thought that I was supposed to do him a favor.
Oh no. Mm-hmm.
And he found out really quickly that I was not built like that, and I'm one that will voice it and give you all types of attitude in my body language that I am not interested, and you need to stop your foolishness.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, he was doing this to other females on the job. It was a heavily populated, with women. It was a very few men that worked there, but it was heavily populated with women. Was
he in charge of hiring?
Yes.
I'm curious.
Well, he was not the hiring manager. There was someone else, but he had the final say.
Yep, mm-hmm. I've seen it before, and that makes me think of another instance of being a young girl and not knowing. And it comes to mind a boss of mine who similarly, was the final say in hiring. It was just a team of pretty young ladies to sort of.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? Yep. Yes. And he got mad at me because I wasn't paying any mind to his foolish advances. I mean, there was one day, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was walking, like on Fridays, I think it was. Well, we wore jeans anyway, but on Fridays we didn't have to wear our company shirt. We could wear whatever we wanted. I don't remember what I was wearing, but I know I had blue jeans on. I don't remember the top that I had on. And I've always been kind of muscular, so I would always cut my sleeves out, because I don't like shirts. I mean, this one is, but I don't really like shirts like squeezing my arms. Yep. So I would always cut the sleeve out. This man, I was walking by and he was talking to another guy that was working there, and he looked at me and was like, hey, won't you bend down there and go up under there and get something for me so I can look at your thing?
No.
Yes.
Why am I surprised? Because we've all had those uncomfortable passes. What a shame.
And the thing is, and when I looked, and when he said it, I looked at him, I said, no, you get it yourself. And I walked away, but it was uncomfortable for me to have to be like, why do I have to keep fighting
to put why do you have to be put in that situation?
For respect.
That's
right. Why can't you be a nice looking lady without having somebody come at you in some negative way? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't that happen? I don't understand it for the life of me. Like, I'm always like, it's like a blessing and a curse to be attractive.
I've said that before. Yes,
it's like a blessing because you don't have people calling you ugly and picking on you or whatever, but then it's a curse because men think that they can have their way with you, and that's not the case either.
I felt that way before, where I've said, sometimes I wish I could just blend in more. I just want to blend in certain situations. I don't want to stand out, So I've said those very words.
Right,
exactly. That it could be a blessing and a curse. Oh, I didn't get to choose. And I've
said at times, I've said at times that I would like to just put a bag over my head when I go out, because sometimes I just want to go to the store, get what I need, and leave. Now, granted, I don't even like going to the store like that. Really and truly, like, I could do without it.
Yes,
but there are times when
COVID one bit, do we?
Yeah, I mean, even before COVID, I've never been one that likes to spend a lot of time in the store. Like, I want to go in and I want to go out. And it seems like when I'm rushing the most is when someone wants to come bother me.
Yes.
But forget that. Whenever it's like, I'm getting to the point now where it's like, I only want to deal with women when it comes to working, because even in a business world, being an entrepreneur, if you come in contact with any man, at least in my experience, you come with them with a professional mindset of, okay, this is the service that you offer, can you help me with this service? And it turns into, ooh, you look good. Can I take you out? Or I'll do this for you pro bono if this or if that.
Frustrating. No, it's very
frustrating. And I'm like, where is this conversation going?
Yeah. Oh, this man, the very words, I'm trying to remember the very word that he used when we were eating. He was like, like talking about the referrals that he's passed me for business. And, he's like, I'll keep you happy and you keep me happy. Oh, I didn't even get to yeah, disgusting, right? I didn't even get to the actual harassment. Well, I suppose that was harassment all the way up until that point. It's funny, at one point you mentioned, if you had known at the time, you would have known, like, hey, that's sexual harassment. I remember sort of being ashamed after this happened. So this man, so we go after this uncomfortable lunch, we go to the parking garage, walking to my car, goes to say goodbye, goes to give me a hug. We did the last time that we spent a day together, took him for a golf outing. Pretty harmless. Well, I went to go for a hug and he cupped my butt.
Whoa.
Cupped it. 2 hands. Reached down. 2 hand cups.
I oftentimes wonder what in the devil is going through a man's mind to think that is okay.
Yes.
Like, what thought process did he, like, what crossed his mind?
Yes.
What thought process happened for him to be like, all right, I'm just going to go for it?
Yeah, she's been saying no the whole time. She's turned off by the fact that I'm married. However, although she's been saying no.
Just completely violated your space.
Let's go for a hug, just reach down, cut my butt. And I kind of pushed up and said, whoa. Like, what was that? Like, I was not expecting that. I'm sorry.
No, you're not, because you knew what you were doing before you did it.
Goes in for another hug, like, okay, like trying to make peace, like, okay, I'm sorry. Goes in for another hug, does it again.
So I'm curious. So what is the deal with him now? This happened, a few weeks ago?
A few weeks ago, yeah.
Okay, so what's the deal with him now?
So since then, so that day, so part ways, got in my car and I left. And then I'm trying to remember what he said, like, yeah, we need to do something again soon or something like that. Crazy, delusional, right? So then it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to say, because here I am, torn between, I'm no longer the young lady, the girl that I used to be who didn't speak up when someone did something that I didn't appreciate.
Right.
I could think of plenty of instances of that, of not speaking up for myself, and I'm not that same woman. I'm a lot stronger than I was. So now I'm caught between that and the woman who I am now who speaks up. So I'm like, what do I say? I'm sending a text message, something like, yeah, you can't be touching me like that. You can't be touching my butt, or something like that. You can't go cupping my behind. Something along those lines, telling him that's not okay for you to do that. And his response was, he was like, I'm sorry. And then he sends like a gif of like a little child like pleading, like, I'm sorry, like making a joke of it. And then I didn't respond to it. And then he goes, I'm so sorry, you're just so hot.
He is just completely out of line.
No, still not owning up to the point that that's not okay. And at that point,
it's not appropriate.
No. So at that point, I didn't say anything back, because I'm like, he's not getting it. And then
have you reported this guy? Because clearly your responses are not working.
I've struggled with that. Right. So then at that point, he and then he sent a sincere apology. And I said, I appreciate that. And that was kind of it. Since I have clients that are now clients of mine that are also clients of his that kind of need to follow up with here and there. But I was like, I'm going to be like email only at this point, won't continue seeing this person face to face. And I remember right after it happened, I felt like such a fool, because I called a couple people about it, people close to me. Everybody was amped up, angry. I called a couple people, and I'm like, what do I do about this? And I'm like,
report.
Might be a silly question, but I was like, is that considered sexual harassment? And they're like, Ashley, why is that even a question? But here I am, just like not even knowing what to do.
I think it's because it's like we know what it is, but we don't want that to be what it is. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And for me, you need to report this guy. Because let me tell you about the one that I was talking about earlier when I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
This man continued with his shenanigans, and I found out that it was not just me that he was, you know, making passes at and saying inappropriate things to, but there were other people. And when I found that out, I was like, listen, I can't do this no more, because I'm my anxiety levels, I'm losing weight. Like I had gotten really depressed. It was a job to go to work.
Yeah.
Because of all the drama that surrounded the things that he was doing. And it was like, if you didn't do what he wanted you to do, he would sabotage your name, like slander your name, say things about you that aren't true.
Wow.
You know, I had people coming for me about stuff that wasn't even true. And being that I don't typically follow up foolishness, and if it's not true, I don't waste my time trying to defend it, because it's not true anyway, so what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
I ended up having to report him.
Mm-hmm.
And
good for you.
I was like, I can't take this. I made it a point in my mind. I said, when I get home, I am going to call the higher up guy, because I have no problems climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
I'm going to call the higher up guy, and I'm going to tell him what is going on, what has been going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called him, and girl, I was so nervous. My hands were shaking. My ears were hot. I was flushed. But I knew I needed to do it. It was hard, but I needed to do it.
Yep.
And when I called him, I was so amazed at his response, because he was not surprised. He said that he has heard murmurings about it, but no one has had the courage to come forth and report him. No one has had the courage to come forth and report him. I was the first to come forth and report him.
Wow.
And he said all he needed was another witness, and he would do what he needed to do. Girl, I got on the phone so quick with another person who I knew he had been harassing inappropriately. And I did everything but get on my knees, girl, begging, please, can you please? Just, I have him on the other line. You don't have to say exactly what happened. You just need to say that he did it to you too. Just please do this for me. Like, we got to get rid of this man. This man is making life miserable for us.
Yes.
Girl, she got on the phone. I was so happy, girl. I could have did a cartwheel that day, or a split, and I don't even know how to do a split. And I got her to get on that line, and she said, yes, everything she said is true. And he did this, and that to her. And he was like, thank you all. I know it was very hard for you all to report this. He was like, I will be there on Friday. I'm supposed to take a plane flight from, I don't remember where he was based out of, but he was going to take a plane flight to Florida to have a talk with him. Girl, I got so nervous because the guy who I reported decided he was going to take a leave early.
Oh yeah? When he found
after lunch
coming into town?
Yeah, he didn't know anything about it. But he was but it was a Thursday, and he was leaving work early.
Ooh.
And I looked at the time, I'm like, where's he going? And everybody was like, oh, he's leaving for the day. I was like, he's leaving for the day? I was just like, oh man, you know. And I don't know the whole process behind him getting to leave early, but in my thoughts, based on how everything happened, I figure that maybe he had to ask permission from the higher up guy that I reported him to leave. Because guess what? As he was walking out that door, the higher up guy was walking in, and he told him, wait, before you leave, we're going to have a quick meeting. Yeah. And girl, he had done put me in a department with all men, talking about, you strong, you can handle it. And I had done sprained my wrist because I was in a department lifting heavy things. And although I was strong, like most of the girls were in a different department than the men, he put me just as a punishment type of thing. Girl, he tried to walk out. That man came in. He said, let's have this meeting. And he called everybody in. And he was like, some things have been revealed, and this, that, and the third. And he said he will no longer be your manager. And guess what? I got moved from that department with the men back to the original department that I got hired in.
Good.
And he went through a hiring process of hiring someone else to take that position. Girl, when I tell you that was a highlight of my day.
What a win.
I said, you mean to tell me I get to come to work and not deal with this man looking at me up and down? Ooh, you making little...
Nice.
Oh, he was so nasty. Oh my God. I just...
Good for you for speaking up. You know,
yes.
You know, not many women have the courage to do that.
And I'm not going to sit here and say it was easy. Right. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was easy, but it needed to be done. In order for things to stop, we have to get out of our comfort zones, and we have to report that foolishness. And a lot of times people are afraid to report things because they feel like they will be shamed, or there's shame behind it. Thankfully for me, it was kept confidential, except for the other girl that, you know, I brought in. She kept it confidential, but she shared it with someone close to her. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm surprised that she kept that the whole time. I'm like, you know, so if nobody else takes anything from this message today in this podcast, even you, Ashley, you need to report this guy. Nobody wants to be responsible for anybody losing their job. And it's very easy for us to come up with excuses why we should not report it. But what we're doing really and truly is talking ourselves out of doing something that we need to do. And what he did to you was absolutely inappropriate. And the fact that you feel obligated or felt obligated to still give him a hug even after he did that, that lets you know he got to go. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's not going to be easy. I told you, my ears was burning. They was red, girl. And I've always been told, you know, when your ears red and burning, somebody must be talking about you or something. But them bad babies was burning. They were red. I was flushed. I was hot. And it was just little old me in my little old apartment. My baby was asleep, but I had to do it. I was just like, I was like, and I was hoping and praying that he answered the phone, because I didn't know what his hours were. It was after hours when I called. But by the grace of God, I prayed about it too. I was like, Lord, please. I said, please let him answer the phone. Please let the higher up manager answer the phone, because I really need it. Because it's like I had built up so much courage to do it then. And I think, if I'm being honest, I think if I would have let that night go by, I probably wouldn't have done it. So I wanted to get it off my chest at that moment, in that moment when I was feeling it. And by the grace of God, he answered the phone. And I was like, thank you, Jesus.
Wow.
And then I just had one more hurdle to go over, and that was to have my friend who experienced the same thing to report it as well. And you just don't know how much, like, as soon as I got off that phone, I just felt like a flush of like relief, because it's not easy to report somebody doing something so inappropriate, because people don't want to believe that people can be so ugly and so disgusting. And
then here I was.
To think that he had several daughters. Like, how would you feel if someone did that to your daughter?
This man too had a teenage daughter. And here I was though afterward, and I'm like, now, you know, I'm like, well, it sounds horrible, you know, to even consider this way of thinking. I'm sitting here in my mind, and I'm like, knowing the repercussions of me reporting that, and I'm like, I say something that what this attorney is going to be disbarred, you know, lose his ability.
That's it. And you're thinking about helping him
over a booty grab. I'm like, is it worth it? And this sounds
worth it, girl. Let me tell you, it's worth it.
Sat with me for days. And here's another fun part of the story. So here I am, and I'm like, and you know, and I was asking him during the lunch, like, so how often are you doing this? You know, as in like sitting down, giving someone the whole spiel of I'm in an open marriage and etc. And he's like, 20 years, something crazy this man mentioned. Do you know, I was at the very same place the very next day with a couple of girlfriends and my children after I picked them up from school some girlfriends having a little happy hour. Do you know this man walked out of the restaurant with another woman who wasn't his wife?
Wow.
Very
That's
nice.
horrible.
Yep. It's a pig.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I really don't understand. I mean, I've been through a lot with men touching me inappropriately, and that's why I wrote my book, because I'm like, you know, men feel like it's okay to do these things because they have these weird thoughts in their mind. I really don't understand men, really. Like, sometimes I wonder why God made us so different.
You know,
I ask that question a lot. Like, why is it that we are so different? It's like, if a man cheats on us, it's all right. But heaven forbid we cheat on them, they gonna have a whole hissy fit. And the worst part is, they could be done cheated on you first for who knows how long, and you decide to keep them around because you love them that much, you know. In their mess, until they get it together and decide, okay, I don't want to mess with her no more, I'm gonna come back home. And then you mess up months or years down the line, and he want to throw you away. And I'm like, how does that even work? I sat here through your mess while you cheated on me. In my misery, I was crying, I was hurt. Like, how could you betray me that way? And I messed up one time, a couple years later, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years later, and you trying to throw me away? Did you forget that I stayed my butt here while you did what you did?
That double
I really
standard.
don't understand that. It drives me up the freaking wall. Like, it really does. Like, and that's why, like, I'm so woman powered. Like, you don't even understand. I will support my women to the fullest. If you have a business and you want support, I got you, boo. If you have something you're trying to sell, I will work with you. If you are an artist and there's a male artist, I'm finna hire this female artist. You know why? Because men make me feel uncomfortable. And men make a lot of other women feel uncomfortable. And it should not be that way. It should not be that way. We should be able to have professional conversations and have professional luncheons and professional outings without you making a hit on me. And thinking that I'm that type of girl that's gonna fall for it. And then, I have the attitude. I'm sorry?
Or think that we owe them something.
Yeah.
Do a professional favor for us, or for some business, or, you know, we take advantage of some of their services and then we owe them something else. I don't understand where that correlation is. That's not what we're here for. I understand how that correlates.
I do a favor for you, you do. No, my body does not have a price tag on it. I'm sorry. So you don't get to tell me, oh, I'm gonna do this for you. And no, baby,
no. I'll keep you happy, you keep me happy. What? Your referral.
Inappropriate. It just really bugs me. You know, I remember when I was younger, and I don't remember how, I probably was like 11, 12 years old. I don't know. I was really young. You know, when your bodies first start developing and stuff like that. And I went to this church, and there was this guy there. And every time, it was an older guy, obviously, old enough to be my daddy or older. I think he might be older than my daddy. I don't know. But I was like 11 or 12. This man, every time he saw me, oh, you so pretty. Come here, give me a hug. Just hugging and squeezing all up on me and stuff. And I started to get to the point when whenever I saw him, I would tense up. Because I knew that he was coming to fill up on me. And I'm just like, it felt wrong. But in my mind, I'm like, is it really wrong? Like, the fact that I even, like, it's like, is this okay? Like, nobody else sees him doing this, or nobody else is saying anything, so I guess it must be okay. You know, stuff like that is not cool.
No.
At all.
And I think a lot of men to take advantage of a nice girl. It sounds like you were a nice girl at that age, and I'm generally a nice girl until I'm not, but
yeah, I am a nice girl. I'm a very sweet girl.
Yeah,
but and then they're like, oh, she's pretty and she's quiet, because I was really quiet, and I didn't say a whole lot. I kind of kept to myself, and to an extent, I'm still kind of that way, reserved. My personality is naturally bubbly. You turn music on, you get a whole nother personality, because I love music. I love music and I love to dance, and it makes me happy.
Yes.
And that's where I find my joy and my peace at, is with music. And so that's when you get the bubbly side of me. But like when I'm new to something, I'm really reserved. I have to fill it out or whatever.
Yes.
But girl, I was quiet, and this man, every time I hated when I saw him at church, and it's just like, at church, really? That didn't even like register with me. Yes, we're talking at church. Of all places. Oh. And one day he just got so out of hand with it. I guess he had just gotten comfortable, because nobody ain't never said nothing for so long that he been doing that. And in his mind, he ain't doing nothing because all he doing is hugging. No, you ain't just hugging me, boo. You hugging and squeezing all up, like rubbing out. That is, for a little girl, you don't want no man doing that to you.
Disgusting. Wow.
Yeah. Why? I ain't even made it to be a teenager yet, and you over here doing all this stuff. And so, if I'm being honest, like, I just don't have the best taste in my mouth when it comes to men. I have a loving relationship right now. I love my man to death. So don't take that and be like, oh, but she, some people are trying to take it and be like, well, she in a relationship, how she don't like men? I never said I don't like men.
Right. Because there are good men out there.
There are good men out there, but they're very far and few between. And I consider myself to be blessed to have stumbled across one.
Yep.
In all of my years of dating. I haven't dated a whole bunch of people, but in the years that I have, it's like they start out one way and then you're like, who are you?
Yep. This whole situation had me, if there's a man that has been in my life that I wasn't he's probably within like earshot of me, so I'm gonna whisper to the camera.
It's okay.
I'm kidding. I don't have to whisper. But that I probably wasn't necessarily giving the time of day around when that happened, or just kind of like being sort of nonchalant
just
about
brushing them off. Yeah,
exactly, brushing them off. And that whole situation just left me with appreciating so much the good man that he is. And all of a sudden I'm seeing him in a new light, because I'm reminded of the other men that are out there. And that, as you just said, that the really good ones, the genuinely, truly good ones, are so few and far between. And to appreciate.
Yes, because there are a lot of pretenders out there.
Yep. That's true.
And they will pretend as long as they can. And then when they feel like they got you under their thumb, all hell is gonna break loose.
Yep, we've seen it, haven't we? We both seen it. Yep.
Yes, definitely. And I just think that it's important for whoever's listening to this podcast, don't question whether what you're experiencing inappropriately from a man is your fault, because it is definitely not your fault. You didn't ask for it. No piece of clothing that you wear will ever warrant a man to touch something that does not belong to them.
Yes, ma'am. And
I am a firm believer of my space. You have no business in my bubble without my permission. End of story, point blank, and a period. Because I get really defensive really quickly. Because I feel like I know for a fact that this body I was given, I was blessed to have it by God, and only God is going to be the person to take it away from me.
Yep.
And God gave it to me, baby. Yep. I have to walk around with this body every single day.
Yep.
So it is mine. I am in possession of my own body. Nobody owns my body but me. Yes, it's mine. Point blank, and another period.
Yes, ma'am.
So if this body is mine and I have possession over this body, Nobody else has permission to touch it without my permission. Point blank. In a third period. I hope y'all got the point of that, because all too often we will sit back and blame ourselves for something that a man did. Oh, maybe I didn't close my legs, or oh, maybe my dress was too short, or maybe my pants were too tight, or maybe I enticed them. Forget the enticement. Y'all need some doggone self-control. That's what you need. Because if I walked around and touched everything I found attractive, then I would be labeled a whore or something other than that. But it's okay for y'all to be walking around and touching things that don't belong to you because you want to. Y'all better go find a toy somewhere and play with that. Listen, you can buy the toy and then it's yours. But I'm not to be bought. There's no price tag on me, and I'm unaffordable, so don't even try it.
Bam.
I'm too expensive for your taste.
Bam.
That part. So I get really passionate about this topic because there have been times when I felt like my body didn't belong to me because people would just do what they wanted. And I'm just like, and then when you say stop, they look at you like something wrong with you.
You're like, whoa, calm down.
I'm like, hold on now. What you mean calm down?
Yeah, we've all gotten to calm down.
What if I walked around and grabbed you between your legs? How would you like that?
Whoa, calm down. Now. You just grabbing your junk.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. They wouldn't like that.
Oh.
Girl, listen. You don't understand. Like, I'm laughing, but this is not no happy laugh. This is just like an unbelievable.
That's a crazy laugh. Yes.
Yes. Like what? Like, I wish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Exactly.
Girl, I don't condone it. I don't like it. I despise it. All those words to describe it is how I feel. And then when it's done to young innocent girls who are still trying to build their own self-confidence and come into their own selves, I feel like that's ripped away from them because the confidence they were trying to build is like zapped. And then they gotta start all the way from scratch and try to, learn
themselves.
And learn that this wasn't their fault. You know how many people blame themselves, and then if they do. I'm sure y'all heard that. See, God don't like it either. God don't like the fact that
You know what's funny is you broke up for a second, so whatever that part was, it might not show up in the recording because I didn't hear it.
But that's what I'm saying. No, I actually stopped when the thunder and lightning hit. I said whatever I said, God didn't like it. So that let y'all know. Y'all better leave these young girls alone.
Yes, lightning struck, freeze.
As soon as I said,
that's crazy.
As soon as I said young girls, it said blah blah boom. Yeah, listen. Y'all gonna leave them little girls alone? Y'all heard God himself. He said cut it out.
Yes, he did.
Cut it out.
Yep.
But I just, my heart really does go out to them because it's unfortunate. Like, you can't be that hot in the pants to where you gotta go preying on these young girls and these young women who are trying to make a living for themselves at work, and you feel like they don't know any better and you have to have them do all these things to get them to climb the ladder. I'm sorry, I am not desperate. And if I got to do those things to climb the ladder or to be rich, then shoot, I just won't be rich because I will keep my dignity at all costs.
Yes, ma'am.
Point blank in a what?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm not releasing my dignity for nobody.
Nope.
I will look at you like you crazy and be like, all right, I'll just keep on scrubbing the floors, because if I gotta do something inappropriate to get an office, I'll keep on scrubbing these floors. And the takeaway I would like for everyone that's listening to have today is that your body is yours. That's it.
Yep.
Your body is yours. And nobody should be violating it. Because I know you're not going to violate your own body because it's yours. Whatever you do to it is on you.
Yep.
But don't let someone else do something and get away with it. You can't control other people's actions. A lot of people will force things on you. A lot of people will put you in uncomfortable positions, hem you up, catch you off guard, whatever the case may be. You may not be able to control that situation, but whenever you can, please report it. And I know a lot of times people are afraid to report things because people will either look at them like, oh, they tripping. And a lot of times people take a long time to report things because they're ashamed that it even happened.
Yep.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, how did I all of a sudden become a target? How did I all of a sudden become the person that they want to prey on and do these things to? That's not something to be proud of. So yes, people are afraid to come forth on certain things when they're sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, molested, raped, whatever the case may be. It's all inappropriate and it's all traumatizing.
It is.
You know? And so it may have happened 3 years ago. It may have happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and they don't report it until then. It doesn't matter. When they report it, they finally had the courage to report it, and I promise you they're going to be 100% free when they let it out. And people going to have everything to say because that's what people do.
Yep.
Everybody and their mama, sister, daddy, brother is going to have an opinion. Yep. Who cares? If they have not lived in your truth, they have no right to judge you. And if they judge you, that's their own personal problem. They can kick all the rocks with their bare feet, if you ask me. Till the feet bleed. That's what I say. Well, I thank you so much for coming on today. This was like a great conversation. I really hope that I was able to help you. And I know you're probably still kind of dealing in this situation. It's fresh and you feel vulnerable and all that. So I know it was tough for you to come on and talk about it, but
well, thank you for giving me a safe place to talk about it.
Oh, of course. Got to reach out to the women and
that's right.
Uplift the women. And I mean, a lot of times we don't realize that in order for us sometimes to help others is by being transparent and revealing some things that we've gone through. I mean, I don't like to reveal things that I've gone through because it shows my weak side, and I'm not good at being vulnerable. That's a weak point for me. Yeah. But I've been working on that. Yep. And I also know what helps me through it is knowing that I'm not the only one that has experienced that, and that I could potentially be helping someone else free themselves from a situation. So this has been a year of transparency for me. Everyone is not on board with it, and that's fine. This is my life. This is my story. This is my truth. Just like you just gave your story and your truth. And everybody's not going to be on board with it. You know why? Because they don't have the courage to speak their truth. So while they don't have the courage to speak their truth, they're still hurting inside from things that they've buried because they don't want to talk about it. Me, I don't want to be sick because I'm holding on to traumas and hurt and pain.
It's healthy to talk about it.
It is very healthy to talk about it, and I intend to continue doing that. Because if that's going to help me grow and be stronger and more confident in me, and as well as helping others, then I will do that. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about what we wish our superpower was. And at first I didn't really know what to say to answer that question, but then it instantly came to me that I wish I had the superpower to touch and heal people. And it's not just healing illnesses like they did when people do miracles and stuff. It's being able to touch and heal people of their past hurts, their traumas, like erase it from them, make them happy. Because I pride myself in making people happy, smiling, turning a negative into a positive. Like, that's what I do. If you throw something negative at me, I'm figuring out something positive to throw back. And that's just what I do. So if I had a superpower, that's what I would want it to be. The situation that you're dealing with right now, if I had my superpower, I would touch this screen, boom, yeah, and all of it would be gone. You wouldn't have to deal with it no more. You would go back to work. You probably wouldn't see the man no more. You probably wouldn't even know who he is.
Nope.
That's the superpower I wish I had. But because I have the Captain Save the World mentality, I know that I can't save the world, but it's okay to wish for it, and it's okay to do my part to try to help as much as possible.
Yes, ma'am. You're doing a great job at it.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Great job at empowering women, you know, even if it's at a handful at a time, then turn to a following of women. You're doing great work.
Thank you so much. That's what my goal is.
From this message.
Yes. And again, I thank you so much for coming, and I thank all of you for listening. And until next time, Chiquita Nicole Speaks is out. Ta-ta for now.